Guy here. Hope you're having a great morning. When I decided I wanted to, first I decided I wanted to become a physician. I wanted to help. I felt that I could get in there in like the red zone of people's lives and help. I was scared to do that, but I knew that I could do that. And I went back to school. This was when I was 36 years old. I had been out of school for 18 years. Went back to undergrad. Kind of had to redo all of that. Do pre-med stuff. I was awful at that. I mean, traumatic, seriously. And then I segued into psychology. And, it's crazy because when I was doing all the pre-med stuff, one of my friends who just had all the pre-med stuff dialed in, he said to me, Guy, I don't want you to take this the wrong way, but have you thought about becoming a therapist? You really kind of have a knack for listening and I was like, I was insulted because I felt like I wasn't good enough in this. And the fact of the matter is I wasn't. But, when I got to school, there was, and I think generally speaking within the field, there's this sense people come and they want to help and they want to, prevent from people experiencing what maybe they've experienced. And a lot of times this isn't conscious, right? We get in there, we want to help, we love listening to people, we love talking to people. But what happens is you start learning all this information and you have to. You start taking in all this information and you have to. Books, workshops, courses, conferences, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And of course it doesn't stop when you graduate. But I think what gets lost is, and it certainly did for me, there's a very simple quality about being with someone. And I'm not saying it's easy, but that simplicity of being with someone and listening to someone and resonating with someone and requires of both people, yes, but the therapist here too, an allowance of vulnerability. And I was speaking with Dr. Chaim Weinberg yesterday, who's phenomenal. He does a lot of group psychotherapy. He's going to be on the podcast, Trauma Therapist podcast in a couple months. But he said, he was talking about this quality of vulnerability, and he explained it like in intimacy, like into me you see. And I had never heard that, but I thought that was really cool. You're allowing someone else to see us. Now, that isn't really easy for a lot of therapists because, again, I'm generalizing, but it certainly was for me. You get into this field and you want to help. And oftentimes that means having a certain knowledge and using it, and maybe doing so very respectfully and in a timely way, but automatically, kind of as a default, the balance of the relationship is skewed. And in order for it to be more equitable and balanced, requires a completely different mindset, a different approach, a different introduction. And that to me is very interesting because it when I realized that as I was doing all the interviews in the podcast, it blew me away, I have to say, because it meant me, when I was seeing therapists, being willing to look at myself and come to the relationship. And I remember I was interviewing Peter Bernstein, Dr. Peter Bernstein, my first interview, phenomenal. I should check that out. I remember he said, when things changed for me when I realized I'm no different than my clients. And I love that. Connecting as human beings, man, it's so amazing when it happens. We're drawn to it. And it's challenging, right? We have all these filters and governors in our minds and our bodies about how we should act and how we should appear. And I love exploring that. Have an awesome day.